Back to the daily grind. The channel's getting false flagged by triggered trolls, so make sure you subscribe to the new channel. Let's get to the MMA news. I think somebody needs to take this boy's phone, disable his Twitter account. If he's worried about his image and his ego, man, he needs to shut the Twitter down for a little bit, because Paulie Malignaggi's coming out and he's holding another big fat fucking L for the day. What was he thinking going at Dan Hardy? Dan Hardy just, you know how Paulie Malignaggi was just coming out and he was on that Twitter rant after Conor McGregor came out and said he was, all that talk he was talking was concussion talk, and Conor McGregor was refuting a lot of that baby back bullshit Paulie Malignaggi was talking. Well, now, in his little Twitter rant, Dan Hardy responded to one of his tweets. This is what Paulie Malignaggi had to say. Not sure about that one, buddy. If boxing were dead, then Mayweather-McGregor would be an MMA fight. Boxing called the shots. And Dan Hardy cleverly, brilliantly responded, that's not quite the case, Paulie Malignaggi. He didn't say that, but pretty much that's what he said. This is what he said. He said, now hold on, Paulie. This is exactly what the tweet said. I love boxing, but it's not an MMA fight because nobody's paying $100 to watch a 30-second destruction. Preach, brother. Let's fucking get it, Dan Hardy. What are you talking about? He was being generous with the 30-second destruction. You think Floyd Mayweather would last 30 seconds with Conor McGregor? You're fucking crazy. How long did Jose Aldo last? 13. No, you motherfucking think Floyd Mayweather's gonna last longer than Jose Aldo? Fuck no. Fuck no. Conor McGregor coming in there and getting it done in 5 seconds. Fuck 5 rounds, so you getting it done in 5 seconds. He got the Jose Aldo done in 13 seconds, and I'm not giving Floyd half of that. Dan Hardy was being really generous to Paulie right there just by saying, hold on, buddy. It's not because... But that's not why this fight's happening in boxing. It's happening in boxing to give your boy a chance. Now, Paulie, for some reason, decided to respond to Dan Hardy. This is where he just took the biggest L. That was already an L, but for some reason, he furthered his L streak by responding to Dan Hardy on Twitter. He thought he had a good point. He thought he was going to stump Dan Hardy, but it didn't turn out well for him. This is what he had to say to Dan Hardy. He responded. The first message wasn't actually to Dan Hardy. It was just to a fan, It was just, he was just telling somebody, boxing's not dead. That's why this isn't an MMA. And Dan Hardy was like, Dan Hardy just responded to that. Paulie didn't have to respond to Dan Hardy. This was just his opinion. But Paulie responded to Dan, furthered his losing streak, and he said, I think each dominates in their own realm. Box fans admit this, though, at least. How'd that Holm versus Rousey fight turn out again? Dude, I could just blow my own holes in that. He said, how did that Holm versus Rousey fight turn again? For a lot of you that didn't know, Holly Holm boxed professionally. She was very successful in boxing, and he's talking about the fact that she came over and dethroned Ronda Rousey, who was at the time the MMA queen. So he's saying, how about this boxer came over and fought Ronda Rousey and won? Dan Hardy smoked him, handed him another L. He said, the professional boxer learned how to fight and won by head kick. What point were you trying to make? Fucking L. Hold that fucking L, Paulie Malignaggi. What the fuck are we really talking about? Hey, that's so fucking funny. That's so funny. Now let's get to what Paulie Malignaggi had to say. He said, I think each dominates in their own realm. Boxing fans admit this, though. Boxing fans have to admit it because they don't train takedown. They don't train takedown defense. They know if they get taken down, they're getting controlled. Meanwhile, MMA fighters, and fans, you know why they don't admit it? Because MMA fighters at least strike, so they're not completely out of their realm in a boxing match. As to where a boxer coming to MMA, they don't train that at all. They don't train a lot of MMA techniques, so they're out of their realm. Meanwhile, a striker like Conor McGregor goes to boxing, and he's a fucking striker. He's going to do some striking. That's why they have a chance. It's got nothing to do, at least boxing fans will admit that. Well, motherfucker, this is a different story. MMA encompasses boxing. Boxing doesn't encompass MMA. That's the difference. Boxing is like just one asset of MMA. That's the difference here. So Paulie Malignaggi needs to just fucking put up the Twitter account, stop taking L's on Twitter. And this is one thing that's really interesting about this though. If I'm not mistaken, Dan Hardy as well as Paulie Malignaggi was hired by Showtime to do commentating duties for McGregor Mayweather. So I don't know if they're ever going to be on the desk at the same time, which I assume they would be, which this kind of makes that a little more interesting. If you see them on the desk at the same time, shit, tempers might flare. Paulie Malignaggi ain't got too much to say though. He's going to have to hold a L in person at the commentating desk. He's going to have to hold that L because what Dan Hardy says reigns true. Yes, Holly Holm was a boxer that was successful in MMA, but it's because she rounded out her game. She didn't come over and just put hands on everybody. And her most famous moment, her highlight of her career, was a fucking head kick, which Paulie Malignaggi and Floyd Mayweather have never seen in their fucking life. As far as training for one, they don't train MMA, so they don't train head kicks. They couldn't throw a head kick like Holly Holm, so that's why that fucking it doesn't work like that. So if Dan Hardy and Paulie Malignaggi get into a little confrontation at the desk, it's gonna be funny to. I mean, you know, it's such an interesting dynamic because even in a situation like that at the commentating desk, the boxer kind of gets like big brothered by an MMA fighter because it's like, you know, even if the debate gets too intense, the boxers kind of can't do anything about it. Kind of like a regular analyst, you know, like a Skip Bayless. Whenever you got Skip Bayless sitting next to like a fucking huge NBA player or something, and he can't talk that same shit, you know, because there's always that threat of, all right, man, you know, you better be calm while I'm right here, because I might, you know, go crazy if you say something too off the wall. So Paulie Malignaggi, normally, you know, a boxer, normally to a regular analyst, it's that situation. Like if Klitschko was sitting next to Skip Bayless, it would be the same situation. But if Klitschko was sitting next to Alistair Overeem or Stipe Miocic, he turns then into like the Skip Bayless, you know. So what I'm saying, it's just funny. Like Paulie Malignaggi, he's gonna have to be nice pretty much everywhere but Twitter. So we don't really have to worry about too much. What about like a Dan Hardy Paulie Malignaggi boxing match? Holy shit, this could turn into a shit show. But one thing I was thinking about though, before I get off of this, Dan Hardy and Paulie Malignaggi, a quick thought. What do you guys think about Paulie Malignaggi versus Conor McGregor, actually? I know it's stupid because we don't really know who Paulie is, but just because he's turning into like a star off of his beef with Conor McGregor, so I'm sure some people would want to see the fight. I mean, I personally don't give a flying fuck about Paulie Malignaggi. It's just fun talking about him and stuff, and because it's making the Conor McGregor fight, or Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight not as boring, because we don't have to literally just talk about Floyd Conor. We got a whole new personality. But does that interest anybody? Would you guys like to see? I mean, because Paulie's not the best boxer in the world. Conor's got a better chance against Paulie than Floyd. I mean, we don't know how the Floyd fight's gonna go even. But I'm saying, no matter how the Floyd Mayweather fight goes, what if Conor McGregor was to box Paulie Malignaggi next in the boxing ring? It'd probably be big and be this big, but it'd probably beat some other big boxing fights. Would you guys want to see that? Conor McGregor be successful in boxing? I know me personally, I'm like, we need to see Conor in MMA. MMA. That would be good for Conor fighting Paulie in boxing, but that would really be shitting on us MMA fans. I would be like, what? You know how many MMA fighters would want to go to boxing if Conor fought 2 boxing fights and this one wasn't even against the GOAT Floyd? Holy fuck. We would be seeing Steve versus Anthony Joshua. We would be seeing Jimmy Manuwa versus the guy he's been calling out. David Hay. Holy fuck. We'd be seeing... Whoo, that would be so. I don't know. I'm not excited about that. I don't want that to happen. They do not get my vote, but somebody was asking people about that, and I also seen an article talking about Conor McGregor's talking about his future in boxing after Floyd Mayweather, and it was like, fuck, man. I hope there is no future in boxing after Floyd Mayweather for Conor McGregor. I mean, it's all sweet for him. I mean, I'm not knocking his hustle. If you're going to make $100 million to fight Paulie, I'm sure you're going to do it. But for us MMA fans, I mean, I guess he would just get relinquished to the belt, and we would just have to move on without Conor. You know, we would never get that closure for Conor, seeing him defend a belt, and he would definitely have to get stripped of his belt if he went on to boxing after this. So Then we would just, get to see that lightweight division move. And imagine that, though. The lightweight division with the champion rotating through these contenders, all these fucking contenders we got, man. Khabib, Tony Ferguson, one of them defending the belt against all these other contenders. Edson Barboza, Kevin Lee, there's so many contenders. Nate Diaz. That would get the lightweight division in motion. So, I'm hoping Conor comes back to MMA. But I was just curious if there was interest from fans. Like, I know some people are just boxing people. They might want to see Paulie fight Conor for all the shit that's been going on. Or some of the people that, I don't know. Would I watch it if it happened? Yes. Do I want it to happen? No. I would rather Conor come defend his belt in MMA. But if Conor, for some reason, doesn't want to come back to MMA and is like, you know what, I think I can make another $100 million if I fight Paulie, a easier fight for more money, which is what a lot of people go for. For instance, I'm not even going to go into that. So what if Conor McGregor decides to take the easier fight in Paulie Malignaggi for more money than fighting Tony Ferguson or Khabib and makes $100 million? I know a lot of us don't want that to happen, but if he's going to make $100 million, you can't knock it. He would get stripped, but would you watch the fight is the real question. Conor McGregor vacates his belt to go make another $100 million in boxing. What if Conor McGregor just straight turns boxer? To me, that's kind of corny. I definitely don't want that to happen. I can't wait to see him come back to MMA. With that being said, it is what it is. What do you think about Dan Hardy? Man, actually, I already know what you think. You can't think anything but W, because Paulie McDougal just took a big fat fucking L on Twitter for real. What about Ronda Rousey versus Holm? She learned how to fight and threw a head kick. Something that you don't know about, but you will on August 26th. When boxing has their first head kick KO in fucking boxing history. But the fuck you, Tab Matt, dude? It is what it is. Let the hitters know what the fuck you think about all that shit in the comments, dude. A man told his boss, I need a raise. There are 3 companies after me. His boss looked at him curiously like, is that so? Which companies? And he said, the gas company, the electric company, and the water company.